This is Alphansus Davis, past principal of the Spalding High School, now Alphansus Davis High School. Tune in to Sherlock Robinson YouTube live channel. Share, subscribe, like, make your comments. He's doing a very good job in the community. Please give him your support.
Yes, sir. Alphansus Davis. Greetings, sir.
Greetings,
A
Mr.
pleasure.
Robinson.
Yes, sir. Past student of yours. And it's really a joy and a privilege to really have this interview with you. And I do hope that at the end of it, the viewers will learn something more about you, because we have known you in the high school system and by extension Minister of Education for a short stint. But I would ask you, sir, who is Mr. Alphansus Davis outside of the school system?
Oh, outside of the school system, Mr. Alphansus Davis is a simple person, humble person. I hail from the parish of Clarendon, born in a little district in northwest Clarendon known as Lodge Green. Not many people know about that community.
Interesting.
At the age of 8, I moved to another district which was about 3 miles to the west of Lodge Green, known as Sanguinetti.
Okay.
So I grew up in Sanguinetti for about 15 or so years.
Okay.
And then after high school, I went to Teachers College, and the rest is history.
So, growing up in Logic Green and by extension Sanguinity, sir, going to school, what type of student were you? Were you a bright student, I would call it, or, I one of those teacher's pet,
Never was a teacher's pet. I think what has happened is that people who grow up in those communities, those are deep rural communities. If you're not careful, you grow up and people tell you, say, you come from bush. And that connotation alone,
Yes.
if you're not careful, it kills the self-concept.
Okay.
Because in those days when people tell you you come from bush,
Yes, sir.
it means you are daft. And yes, that kind
negative
of
connotation.
negative connotation.
Self-esteem.
So if you're not careful, it affects your self-esteem. So you asked me the question if I was a bright student.
Yes.
Initially, well, I considered myself to have been a bright student.
Okay.
But in those days, something happened which sort of killed the self-concept.
Yes.
And I don't know if you have time for me to tell you what happened.
Can you summarize it?
But I remember we had a school inspection, and in those days, the inspector comes in and all the teachers would be assessed. And so the inspector would go from class to class.
Yes, sir.
And ask the children questions and so on. General knowledge, Bible studies, that kind of thing. So he came to my class. I could have been about 9 years then. And he came to my class and he was asking the class a number of questions. And of course I thought myself to be a brilliant child. So all the questions I had my hand up. And I answered quite a number of questions and they were correct.
Yes, sir.
Then he asked this question, you're gonna laugh. He said, what do you call a school where boys and girls go? And I raised my hand back and he said, you again? Yes, you, go ahead. And proudly I said, a sexual school, sir. And I saw the man turned around and they laughed. And the head teacher was sitting at the head of a table.
Yes, sir.
Those classrooms are one classroom,
Okay.
partitioned by blackboard.
Yes.
So you could see the principal sitting at his desk. His desk was on a raised platform. So the inspector went up there and they whispered into the principal's ear, obviously telling him what my answer was. And they both laughed.
Yeah.
And while they were there, I had a schoolmate beside me, and he said, a classmate, and he said, you know what you tell the man, sir, man? He said, what me tell you? He said, I slap me, say I talk, you know. You know, say slap me, so you know what sex at school means. You mean man and woman in a bed, you know. How could you do that? I said, man said to me. So I became a bit surprised because that was not what was in my mind.
Yes, sir.
I said to myself, when I come to school, they ask me my sex. And I said, male.
Yeah.
And if you're not male, you're female. So if you have males and female at school, and those are your sexes, my conclusion is that a sex at school, that was the adjective.
It shows that you were thinking.
Definitely.
Yeah, thinking.
But the moment he began to laugh at me, and my classmate reprimanded me that I was talking slack, I shut up for the remainder of the day.
Okay.
And I went to school for the remaining years, you know, not willing to answer questions or ask questions.
And more withdrawn.
And more withdrawn, and I developed what you call a low self-concept.
Yes.
Because here it is the principal and the inspector laughing at me.
So, sir, question. So they didn't correct you or
No reprimand, but
anything?
when he came back, he said, you gave the wrong answer. It's a mixed school. Up to now, I can't see what you mean by a mixed school. To me, to this day,
Yes, sir.
that answer does not explain it. Mixed school, mixed can mean anything, right? But that was his response. But after leaving primary school, I went to Homewood. Yes, I'm a past student at Homewood. I did well, sometimes on my own, because I sat the Jamaica School Certificate, JC, on my own, without being recommended by any teacher. Privately, at that time you could sit privately. So at age 50, I sat the JSC, 6 subjects, and I was successful in all 6 subjects. And from there, the self-concept now boosted, and I started to have more confidence in myself.
Okay.
And that's what changed.
So sorry, yes, I take note of that. But what inspired you to really get into teaching? What was the motivation and inspiration behind
Good.
you went to Teachers College?
That the very experience that I had in the classroom.
Yes.
That very experience, because I said to myself, that's not the way you treat children. You must investigate to find out what was the reasoning behind the answer, rather than to ridicule. And when I looked at it, I said, you know, that kind of behavior, and it was so in those days, that kind of behavior discourages young people and students. It shut you up. You can shut up some children for life because you ridicule them.
Yeah, yes.
And so I decided that I would become a teacher to help to motivate young people, especially those who have low self-concept, to work with them, to find out from them where it began and how we can extricate them from situations like those. So that was my main motivation.
So you would safely say then, sir, it was destiny for you?
I would say so, yes, it was destiny,
Because you have moved from strength to strength.
yeah.
So,
Yes.
so which was the first school you thought on a subject?
Well, I tell you, after I left home,
Yes.
I taught for 9 months at the then Spalding High School,
Okay.
which is now Spalding Primary.
Yes.
So I taught as a preaching teacher,
Okay.
and then left and went to Teachers College.
So which was the name? What name of the college?
Church Teachers College.
Okay.
Right. So
Institution.
right. So I forget the question. What was it again?
No, I was asking you. Yesterday you went to college. I was asking which school, which college.
Oh, where I taught, right?
Where
So
you taught.
yeah, so I did a stint after college. Now I did my internship. In those days, you went to college for 2 years,
Yes.
and then you did a 1 year stint. You call it internship. That's your 3rd year.
Yes, sir.
But you did that in a classroom.
Okay.
So after leaving college for my internship, I taught at Claremont College School in St. Anne.
Okay.
Did a year there and then went on to Oracabessa Secondary School then.
Yes.
Taught for 3 years and then left Oracabessa and came to Spalding, where I spent the remainder of my years in teaching.
Okay. So sir, we we don't want to preempt, but I remember because I'm a passenger at Spalding Secondary then.
Mm.
And I remember when I came there in 1986, thereabout, I remember I think you were acting or you were vice principal then.
Yes.
And Mrs. Chambers, Miss Taylor then, Mrs. Chambers now, were the she used to teach general science.
Right.
Mr. Richards
Was
was
the principal.
the principal. And then after Mr. Richards, he didn't took sick or something like that. I don't remember.
He retired.
He retired, right. And then you were acting, and then Mrs. Taylor, who Mrs. Chambers now, act as vice principal.
Mm-hmm.
And from that time, sir, you were, based on my memory of you, you were really strong. I would say you were firm but flexible as that vice principal, acting principal, because I remember you always stood up for discipline and
Yes.
ensure that all of us come to school early and we were in class, and you and at that time people, I think people have a little bit afraid for you because you didn't smile much then.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you smile, but as students we never really took note of it. But
Right.
because of your strictness, and I didn't think the strictness that you had was really to harm us. But as students,
Get people disciplined.
yeah, we never really want to be disciplined. But looking back,
Mm-hmm.
realize looking back, realize it was really a good tool that I used to really get us in line, because person like me and others are still proud of you as our principal.
Mm-hmm.
But fast forward from then, sir, from a secondary school. When I was there, Spalding was tipped to become a high school. But I graduated in 91. And I think it was in 1995 Spalding becomes a high school under your leadership. What challenge did you have, and how did you go about to get all of those things in place for it to become a comprehensive high school?
Yes. There were many names given to the set of schools. In fact, the history behind these schools, there were some 83 schools. They were built, if I can recall, in the 70s, the early 70s.
Yes, sir.
They were built and they were named junior secondary schools. So there were some 83 of them that were built.
Okay.
Now, later on in the mid-70s,
Yes, sir.
the names were changed and the curriculum offerings were also changed. So when it was junior secondary school,
Yeah.
they offered classes to students up to grade 9.
Okay.
And at the end of grade 9, some transitioned into the traditional high schools and some went to training centers like Kabla, and they used to have some community centers which offered skills training.
One was on by Wallace.
One was at Wallace, one was at Sanguinetti, Christiana had one, Richie's had. You would say nearly every community had one of those community centers, and those were operated by the Social Development Commission. But in the mid-70s, the government of the day felt that it was not wise to have these children leaving school at age 15,
Yes.
and some just idling on the street and so on. So they expanded the curriculum and they renamed the schools secondary schools. But in effect, although they said secondary schools,
Yes, sir.
it was the equivalent of high school.
Okay.
So we were offering the same program as high schools. And so the change took place in the mid-70s. So that school had undergone a number of name changes. So after secondary, they renamed it comprehensive. Then from comprehensive to high school. So, but in terms of the program offerings, nothing changed.
Okay.
Right? What was the main problem then? What were the main challenges? Was that the majority of the students who were placed in these schools were not happy so to be placed because there was a stigma attached to these schools. And what society was saying was that if you are a failure, if you failed the common entrance exam, that's where you go. So those who were successful would go to the traditional high schools. And those who did not qualify as per the common entrance exam would be sent to these new schools.
And just interject, sir. All I thought there. But didn't students who attend those schools would have came out as doctors and professionals?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
So the challenge, many of the children who came saw themselves as non-performers. So they believed what society was saying to them. And they saw themselves as non-performers. So my challenge was, having had a similar experience or the same experience as they were experiencing, the self-concept was low. And realizing how I dealt with it, my challenge was to get them to change perception of themselves. But that was easy. It was easy to meet with the children and tell them that and encourage them to change. But when they go back into the communities, people are telling them the same thing. So now, my challenge was to get the parents and community persons to change that perception of the school. And we spent, along with some devoted teachers, we spent a couple of years working on it. So we would go into homes, meet with parents, tell them about the programs they're offering, comparing the programs that they're offering, with those in the traditional high school,
Yes, sir.
telling them to believe in their children and to give them the same opportunities as they would have given a child who goes to the traditional high schools. And after we did that with the parents, what we had to do was to ensure that these children were getting similar programs as those at the traditional high school.
Okay.
So you will find that Spalding High School, as it was then called, or Spalding Comprehensive, or Spalding Secondary Whichever, as it was then called, can boast a number first. In order to excite the children and in order to get them to believe in themselves, we had to offer programs that other schools were not offering. Take for example, information technology.
Yes, sir.
Spalding High School was the first school in Northwest Florida,
Yeah.
and maybe in Florida itself, to offer information technology. It was the first school in Northwest Florida to establish a computer lab
Under your leadership.
under my leadership.
Yeah.
And tell you, after we introduced information technology, we were getting requests from the traditional high school for students to be transferred to our school just to be participating in the program.
And just to stick up in us, I remember, well, I mentioned earlier that I'm a past student of Spalding Secondary School.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back there at evening institution
Right,
to do some subjects, which I was successful.
right.
And I remember in maths class with Pastor Brown,
I was
there were several students from Knox and
Yeah.
Homewood and even Manchester because who would have come to maths
definitely,
class
definitely,
while I was going to.
definitely, but that was targeted, you know. What I did, I rooted for the best teachers.
Yes, sir.
So Pastor Brown, subjects like maths, science, English, I targeted those subjects so that the teacher who is offering those subjects would be a master of it.
Okay.
And being a master of it, you're going to get results. Right. And we got them. And when the results started to come out, and people were hearing how well the students were doing in the school, in the evening classes, quite a number of children from traditional high
Because
school.
I remember, you know, sir, when I was in maths, you know, with Pastor Brown,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Pastor Brown have confidence in me that I would have passed the maths, you know.
That's it.
Because and he used to be my teacher while I was going to secondary school and I was good in maths.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are many years passed and relaxed and you never really have, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came to his class, he never really think I would pass it.
And yet you did.
But surprisingly, when the result came off for the evening session, I was one of those persons who in the passing column. And as a matter of fact, Pastor Brown invite me to come back to his evening class to tell the student how I passed maths.
Right.
Even although Pastor Brown said I wasn't a strong person, but when I go home, I used to work, practice, yeah man, and that brings success.
Pastor Brown was able to motivate,
Yes, there was a good teacher.
the students to do well. And maths was the supreme subject at the time.
Because it's my wife who thought I should put in the maths. Went to Pastor Brown's class, you know, to encourage her and she get maths.
Yeah, man. I can recall many students in the traditional high schools, even on Saturdays, would come up to Pastor Brown classes.
Yeah,
And
it's the one Saturday.
interestingly, when they are successful because they come to Pastor Brown's class,
Yes, sir.
traditional high schools report it as if it's their success.
Okay.
But yet it's Pastor Brown. He had a knack at it.
Because for me, you know, sir, I decided that because when I was going to secondary then I was recommended to do some subjects and I didn't get to do because you know, lack of funds and all those things. So I purpose in my heart and in my mind that I want to go back to Spalding to do my subjects. So I went back to the evening institution to get my subjects there.
Right.
And it has transcended me into Home Campus University of the West Indies, which I acquired, some qualification in social work.
Yes. So the foundation started then. Yes. So we have had great successes.
So question, sir. So as a teacher then, what were some of your greatest challenge? I know you made mention of some things in terms of the skill, the concept of it, and the low self-esteem. But in the classroom, what were some of your challenges?
As I said,
you saw some big boys and big girls coming to school, but beard and all of those things.
As I said, my major challenge then was the perception of the school. And our ability, our quest to erase the perception. Those were the major challenges. And we set out to do so. Because we realized that those were the things that were hindering our progress. So, as I said to you, if we could change the perception, our greatest challenge would have been solved. Alright? So, we started that, and as I said to you, we introduced new programs. At the time when children were not doing the CSEC exam, we introduced CSEC exams. Children started to do it, and they were successful. And because of the success, other students became more motivated because they now realize that they don't have to go to a traditional high school in order to perform. The other major challenge I had was the shift system. Because I realized with the shift system, the students were at a disadvantage. The ones who came in the mornings, they had to get up to get dressed for school from as early as 4 o'clock in the morning.
And there was a way to walk?
Yes, and they used to walk, and it took a toll on them. And those who come at 12 o'clock would have come as tired students because they had to do so many chores before they come in. And then they reach home late at night. So we set out to change that. Now I'm proud to say that Spalding High School then was the first school in Jamaica that was on the shift system to abandon the shift system. And this we did on our own.
And just adding a second, because I remember, I think I was doing social studies at the time. And I asked persons, because I heard the rumor that Spalding that would become now the shift. So I asked a particular teacher who used to teach me at the time, how ready are Spaldings, and the response was that Spalding is not ready for it. But knowing Mr. Davis, he will find some way to allow it to happen. And fast forward to this September, when Spalding came off the shift system, I think there was a lot of backlog and backlashes and all of those things. But fast forward to now, people persons get to appreciate even more, because as you know, sir, we as people, we don't adjust the changes readily.
Right.
And when we see something, we always think, the first thing on my mind is a negative thought. And we don't readily accept it. But as time goes by and we see where it develops into and the benefits of it, then people start to log on and start to come on board and support. But at the initial stage, people don't really accept it.
We had many challenges initially. We had space challenges. We had teachers who were not too happy because many of them had their prearranged activities for after shift, after they leave school, before and after the shift system. So they were somewhat apprehensive.
Yes.
But although the teachers were, and some community persons were skeptical about it, even the ministry, even the ministry was not in support. Not the ministry per se, but the regional office.
Yeah, because I remember at the time I was working at Belfield High School, and I remember speaking to a senior teacher then at Belfield, working in a tuck shop, and they used to come at tuck shop and have lunch and conversation and they were saying that the ministry seen as being rebellious. Not the ministry, the region.
Yes, that is true.
And he were even, the person were even complaining with one another. I don't know which school the other principal was, but a principal similar to you who go ahead and to get his school. I was in the process of getting his school from our shift system. So they were saying you want that other gentleman who was somewhat rebellious and don't want to sit by protocol and the region.
You see, and this is what is affecting education today. Those of us who lead are more prepared to follow what the ministry says rather than leading innovations in our schools. And I keep saying to principals, you're the leader in the school. You know what your needs are. You can't let ministry come and tell you what your needs are. Because you have to find the solution to what your problems are.
And I think, sir, a lot of persons, principal and leaders in the schools, what happened, sir? Is it? I think the ministry give a blueprint. But a lot of people don't think that you can tweak the blueprint to fit.
All right.
Because the blueprint is only there as a guidance,
That's
but
right.
it's for you know to come up with creative thinking and tweak it to fit to suit your school.
That's what I tell them. I tell them one size does not fit all.
True.
And I said to people, and I will always say to our principals, the ministry sets policies.
Yes.
But we are to let the ministry know that they set the policies, but they must not tell us what route to take.
Okay.
Let us take the routes that suit our situation. The important thing is that the desired outcome is achieved.
True.
Right? So you're going to Spalding from Cobbler. Nobody should dictate to you how you reach Spalding. You should decide how you're going to reach Spalding. And the important thing is that you reach Spalding.
I reach safely.
Right. So that was my style. I was in a shift system. I was seeing that it does a lot of harm to my children.
Yes,
Right? So I knew what the needs were. And I decided to address the needs, which I did. Right? And but while people were complaining, and while people in the ministry were disappointed that I had gone ahead and done that, on the other side of the fence, the students were happy, the parents were happy. Now the students are the parents are our clients. The students are also our clients. And in any business you're doing, if your client's not satisfied, the business is dead. So your stakeholders must be satisfied. So once I realized that they were satisfied, I was happy. And let me tell you, a remarkable change came in their performance the year after we went on trip.
Yes, sir, because I remember, I think I was looking in the Gleaner when there was some CXC result came out. And Spalding was right up there with the KC and the JC.
Yes, man.
I said to someone, I said, Spalding High School.
Yes, man.
Among somebody, which people never really think they would have, and them beat out a lot of the other traditional high school that were doing well.
Yes,
Yeah, man, so I was right up there.
yes.
But just to backtrack a bit, sir. You said that you had issue with space. But I noticed that Spalding there were several classes were going up. So how did you go about?
Well, I tell you, if I should backtrack, in April of 2000, I think, I'm trying to remember if it's 2000 or 2001. I think it was 2003.
Yes.
We came off the ship. And in April of 2003, when I saw the need and the urgent need to come off the ship, I called a parent-teachers meeting.
Yes, sir.
And it was, the auditorium was overflowing with parents who came. And when I told them that the intention is to come off the ship, the applause was deafening.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I wanted to hear.
Yes.
And so I said to them, it was not that easy. We will need additional classrooms. We will need additional furniture. And they said, how many classrooms, sir? I said to them, I will need about 10 new classrooms.
Yes, sir.
And I said, but you, the parents, will have to give me them. They said, no problem, sir.
Wow.
So one man jumped up same time. He drives that truck. Say, Mr. Davis, I'm going to give you 3 loads of sand.
Yes.
This parent get up, I'm going to give you 10 bags of cement. That parent come up 100 blocks.
Wow.
And that's how the pledges start coming in.
Brilliant.
Some couldn't give any material. So Mr. Davis, I'll come and work for a week. Those are the skilled men. And let me tell you, the following week, Monday morning, cement drop, sand drop, black drop, and one morning when I went to school, women did it with their tools ready. They said, Davis, where you put the building? I said to them, no, you can't start till we get permission from ministry. They said, ministry, sir, just show me where you put the building. I showed them. The amount of free labor that started, that 6 classrooms. And by September, they started in May. And by September, the classrooms were ready for the children. Wow. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything. The parents.
It goes back to that Peter was at destination for you.
Apparently. Apparently.
And just to rush on a bit because we realize that the rain seeming to want to interview. But you were commissioned by the ministry to become an advisor. And out of all those experience and those brilliant work and motivate parents and the stakeholders to come on board, and that would have propelled you and allowed and put a different spin on you, a different salary that the minister would have wanted you to come and give and to advise those people who were sitting there who thought they know everything.
Well, actually, I was really an advisor to the minister.
Okay.
And whatever advice I would give to him. And he would then, run it by his technical people. So I never had much to do with the technical part.
Okay.
But whatever advice was between the minister and myself. But he had asked me then to develop a program of security and safety in schools.
Yes.
Which I worked with the minister and developed. So that is why in schools now you have persons like deans of discipline, because safety and security was at the heart of the minister's thoughts at the time. He was very concerned about the safety of children and the Not only children,
Yes.
the stakeholders on the school compound.
So anybody ever tell that they're a brilliant person?
I've heard that many times, but
Because out of all the experience at Spalding, comes a brilliant experience and embedded in the mind of the of the student and the teachers, being a discipline come from that experience and support and security person and all of those. That was brilliant, Mr. Davis.
Yes, you see, having had the experience in the school, because when I was at the school, we had to fence out the school compound because of intrusion from an unwanted person. So we saw that our safety was threatened.
Okay.
And we had to fence out the whole place.
Yes, sir.
So when I went in, I found that the minister and I were thinking along the same line. That children who go to school, they have to be safe where they go. So then safety and security be placed in my lap. And then we instituted the policies and so on and so on. And I was the person who carried. In fact, after I did my stint as senior advisor to the minister.
Yes, sir.
Soon after my stint was over, I was the first director. I was the first person to hold the post of director of security and safety in school.
Mr. Davis, I'm really happy for this interview now, because a lot of things that happen and person do not know that you are the brainchild behind a lot of these things that is now taking effect in us. And I'm happy that persons who can see this interview and understand more, and I think more respect will goes out here, because a lot of people don't know.
I tell you, there's a lot of respect. I mean, when
you get a lot more.
I tell you, when I go to Spalding, I have to drink a lot of water before I go, because the amount of holding. Mr. David, I should tell her how they have to tell another one. And it makes you feel happy that you did something that people really appreciate. I mean,
a legacy.
Even past students that have discipline.
Yes, sir.
There's a particular young man whom I had to ask a parent to withdraw him from school. And that young man is working at a supermarket in Spalding now.
Yes, sir.
And to be frank with you, whenever I see him on the street, the feeling that comes to me is that he was going to be antagonistic towards me. And let me tell you, the level of respect that young man has for me.
Yes, sir.
When I go to the supermarket, and I'm pushing out things, he said, let me principal, let me go push out. And I feel so. And one day I had to say to him, man, imagine I ask the parents to withdraw you from school. And yet you have so much love for me. What is it? He said, Mr. David, the withdrawal turned me in a man. Because I come to know myself and realize the foolishness. And it says it has changed him totally, and he respects me.
Yes, sir.
So I have a good relationship with my past students.
Because I'm one of my past students.
Yes, I know. I know.
Yeah.
So, I was stern,
flexible,
but at the same time I love my children. Yes, and I've always told them that.
Firm but flexible.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Davis, I am really happy for this interview,
Yes.
And this has really opened up my mind to some information that I did not know of.
Right.
Sometimes you see some things happening that you don't really know the history behind it, or the brain behind it. But now I understand that
there
are a lot of things in the ministry now that they are doing is a result of way of you. And I must say congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you,
And
sir.
enough respect.
Thank you.
One final thing, sir. Spalding High School
Mm-hmm.
has renamed the Alphansus Davis High School. What are you, how you would tell that story, or what you would say about all of that? I don't know to answer the question, but maybe you could explain it, please.
Let me tell you, it's a great honor.
Yes.
I've never heard of it. Like a living principal, a school being named in his honor. I've never really heard of it. So when it was done,
Yes, sir.
I felt greatly honored, but humbled.
Yes, yes.
I said to myself, and I think I said it at the renaming ceremony, that it should be a monument to encourage the young people,
Yes, sir.
who people tell they are of no worth,
Yeah.
to show them that out of these small communities, people of worth
That's man.
can come forward and be respected for what they have.
Because I experienced some of those things, you know,
Yeah.
so, but it never really hindered me, you know, because as I mentioned earlier, that I have the honor and the privilege to attend a university, the University of the West Indies, home campus in Mandeville. And I have some I graduate credit
That's right.
degree in
That's
social work,
right.
you know.
That's
So,
right.
and a lot of people a lot of persons don't even know that I am so qualified,
That's right.
you know.
You see,
Even that work. A lot of because
because you don't.
no, that's something me use and
Yeah.
I have other qualification along with that. Not just that I have a level. Well, I don't think I should say that in intelligence, but I have other qualifications.
Yes, yes.
And just recently, I just finished another course, program management, with the result, you know. So
Right.
yeah, man.
Right. You see, the thing is, my history is even deeper than that.
Yes, sir.
The interview wouldn't give us time because you see,
Is
the
this a
thing-
summary?
Yeah, it's just a summary because I mean,
When I say a tip of the iceberg.
yeah, because when I have started to do my memoirs and I put some things on paper, I did a part of it for the renaming ceremony.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you have seen that booklet
No.
that I did. I don't even know. I would have researched that. I would share it. But I have a long history. It wasn't a bed of roses for me coming up. Yes. My mother died when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and we grew up with step-parents, but you know, you're young and you know, grow up with a mother. It does a lot to you.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
To your whole personality.
Psyche,
But it's a long story. But one of the things I'm happy for is that out of my own experience,
Yes, sir.
I have touched many lives.
Wasn't selfish.
And right, many lives for the better.
And others.
Mm.
Yeah. It's good.
Which I'm happy for.
Commendable.
Right.
And I think you have been rewarded.
Yes, greatly rewarded.
Yeah,
I
man,
mean, it's a great honor to a little boy from down a luxury green there, so come up and school name after him in the same community that him go. We have to say in the same community,
Yes, sir.
because Luxury Green is just 5 miles from Spalding.
Okay.
Sanguinetti is just 3.
Oh.
And it's from humble beginnings. And it is telling a community of people, of young people,
Yes, sir.
that they must think positively about yourself.
Yeah, man.
Because no matter the community from which you come, you can achieve.
Yes, sir. Because it's all in the mind, you know.
Yeah.
Because even my son is now a student at Alphansus High School, you know, and person was saying whatever. And I said, no man, because I wanted him to go to Spalding High School at the time, Alphansus High School. I wanted him to go to that school. And he's there now. And I must tell you, this. He wasn't doing so well at primary and at in grade 6.
Mm.
Because they have a change of teacher and work for a little things, you know. He was that was some child, but different teachers, and I think he affected him and he was going to put to a primary 4 and all of those things. And I must tell you, sir, he has improved leaps and bounds. When you look at that, say, boy, I get a 90s, 100, you know, 80s. And he never used to get those together, and it's just one term him do the up there.
Well,
and him love up there, him love
the
up there.
tradition has continued,
Yeah, man, he love up there.
especially by those teachers who were, and the workers,
Yes.
who were there in my time, who knew the standard that was set. I went up there the other day and I had a discourse with some members of the administrative staff and the ancillary staff, and I had to commend them.
Yes, sir.
The place was clean, the gardens were well kept, and I said to them, man, you're continuing this tradition, and they said, yes.
I think Mr. Henry that doing us, I must salute him, you know.
Yeah.
Because I think he's doing a fairly good job.
Yes, yes.
You know, and as I went to PT and listened to him when he spoke, and yeah, I think he have some similar, he and him have some things in common in terms of the school and the whole development moving forward, you know, and all of those things. And as it related to discipline.
Yes, yes, yes.
He stood for that.
Yes, yes. He has to stand out.
In a bend himself.
Especially in this time, to me, sometimes I want to believe it's more difficult than in my time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, to get them to be more disciplined.
Because
Because the whole society, you know, discipline has broken down in the society. So the challenges are greater for the schools.
Yes.
But thank God, they're continuing the tradition.
Sir Davis,
Bless
it's a
you.
honor, sir.
Bless you.
And thanks for this opportunity to do this little interview on my YouTube channel. We just started recently, but it is growing and growing and growing, and I continue to strive for, you know, within the region here in terms of development and to highlight community development and all of those things. And that is my launcher, even as I move forward with this thing, you know. And I want to thank you again, sir.
Yes, sir, you're welcome.
And thanks again, sir.
Send me the link.
Yes, sir.